Hello and welcome to my channel. I am ZodiacBandit, and today is the first Thursday that's not going to be Critical Role for 4 weeks, or nearly 5, I think, which really sucks. Yes, it's going to be EXU Calamity, and yes, we are still going to be seeing a handful of the Critical Role players, but I've really been enjoying Critical Role, just the base game, and I feel like we just had an EXU, so it's kind of feels a little too soon for another one. But that all being said, it's about time that I re-rank every PC, every player character in Campaign 3. Excluding Birch and Bellandorian, they've been gone for long enough now that I feel like it's time to just give the core 7 members of the Hells Bells their due. Hells Bells? Bells Hells? Fuck. Bells Hells their due. That's not, I'm going to keep that in. But I'm going to be going from 7 to 1, so least favorite, if I have to say that, to favorite. Keep in mind, I like all of these characters, so yeah, none of them I hate. This is the first time within the first, I'd say, 40 episodes of Critical Role of like a different campaign that I haven't had to have a character grow on me or haven't disliked a character. The last time I think I disliked a character while watching Critical Role was Caleb, and that might shock a few people. But I watched Campaign 2 first, and Caleb, to me, was just way too edgy, and I didn't like him, but eventually he grew on me, and then I've caught up with Campaign 1 before Campaign 3 came out. So, yeah, I think this is the first time that I can recall that when starting a campaign, I didn't dislike a single character. So that's interesting. But anyway, let's get into the ranking proper. So we will start with number 7. Just before I say who number 7 is, I do want to explain that I did actually rank these characters just after episode 8 aired. So there is differences between this. Actually, there's a huge one. Beginning with number 7, Fern, who was number 3 in that old listing. And the reason she's fallen down to the bottom, if you will, Fern, we haven't learned much about her. She is just pure chaos, and I love it. What I said in the original video about her is still true. I love her character, but I just want to learn more about her. I feel like everything she said up to this point, about her past is a mild lie, with the exception of maybe her parents going to Aor, but everything else just feels like a lie to me. Whenever she says something, I just have trouble believing her because of how chaotic she is, and that chaos is starting to truly mask over any potential character she has because her character is just surrounded in chaos. So while I love how chaotic she is, and I love the way she steals from the group in a joking manner, and I love how she is collecting baubles from her journey, I would love to start delving into her character and her past just a little bit. What's crazy is EXU did it just a little bit, and since then I don't feel like we ever truly have delved into it, with the exception of the Nightmare King, and that was, half Campaign 3 ago. So it's been a while since we've gotten anything from her character. So I would really appreciate some more from her. And that's it. I just feel like compared to everyone else, she's gotten the short end of the stick. So, yeah. And especially when she had to sit out an episode because she had COVID. But that's not on Fern, nor is it on Ashley, nor is it on anybody. But you know what I mean. She has definitely fallen down, but I do think she will rise back up once we learn more about her. And at number 6, FCG, who has fallen quite a way down as well, which sucks. But I do have a reason. Much like Fern, we've learned very little about FCG outside of brief looks into their mind. We still don't know what FCG was truly like before the attack that killed off his original adventuring party. We don't even know if he was stronger than what he is now, and the reset that happened to them took down a couple of levels, which is always an interesting character thing that sometimes happens. And we don't know what exactly they were made for. However, I love the small stuff that we have learned, specifically about the attack, and I love that, he or they are very, I don't want to say suicidal. they're not suicidal in the term of they want to defend their friends and they're willing to put their life on the line. Suicidal is the wrong word. It's more of protective of their friends and have a disregard of their safety. And I truly like that characteristic. I think it's perfect for a robot character, and it's amazing. And I still like that aspect of FCG. FCG is still incredibly funny and everything like that. I just want more story stuff. Just like Fern, I need more character story for me to put FCG back up, because as of right now, FCG is turning into a mild joke character. A punching bag who gets hurt, they all worry about him or them, and they move on. It's happened a few times now, and unfortunately that is not enough for me to keep FCG in the, I think they were in the top 4 last time, so that's not enough for me. I would love more about FCG, so hopefully we get that very soon. And at number 5, we have Aurum. This character has grown on me quite a lot. Again, I said that at the beginning, that characters didn't grow on me, but Aurum was kind of in last place last time I talked about this sort of stuff. So now, Aurum is at number 5. A good jump from, I believe, number 8, where I put him last time because I was including Dorian. He's grown on me so much. It's mostly from one thing. He is no longer just a guy who is there for the ride. Before, the reason he was specifically sent out on his mission from Keyleth was revealed, he just felt like he was there. Like, if he wasn't there, not much would really change. It could have been anyone from Zephyra to have come in his place, and it wouldn't matter. But when he told us that his husband was killed in the attack on Zephyra, it made it personal. It made these assassins personal to the viewers. It made every action that he had done leading into gathering information about these assassins and Oshad Breshio. It made all of those things come together and really put into a new light what this mission meant. It wasn't just a reference to Keyleth anymore. It was now meaningful, impactful, and in fact, it connected Aurum to not just Keyleth and Zephyra and Campaign 1, but to another one-shot character named Derrig, who's the father of Will, Aurum's husband. And to me, that kind of connection was something that Aurum truly needed, to go from a character who was just a yes man, who was just there to be on the ride, to someone who is now deeply ingrained into this potential story, as we've now met a handful of people who were affected by these same sort of assassins, and it is also somewhat connected to Imogen. And I think that that is a great thing and a great tool, and it was a single thing that changed about Aurum. He is still roughly the same sort of, I'll do whatever you guys say, I'll defer to you, but now there's a slight hint of, I need to do this for me as well. And I like that sort of, not revenge aspect, but there is a bit of avenging aspect that he's got going for him. He's not seeking revenge, he's seeking to avenge his fallen loved one, and I really think that that is a great storytelling tool, and it was literally one change. And I thought that was amazing, and it really lifted Aurum up in my eyes for me. Moving on to Imogen, who is now number 4, who was also super low on my list initially, just like Aurum. I felt that she was just there to get stronger as a character with her magic and to get a deeper connection to it, and to eventually have some sort of reveal about her dreams and all of that. However, getting the stone from the Shade Mother added a new threat to her character. It gave her some sort of comfort with her mind and her dreams, and that was a new layer for her that was desperately needed, in my opinion. But as an outsider looking in, as a viewer, we understood that this stone was very dangerous. Somehow we knew that there was some sort of threat going on with it, that comfort was not real, and that it was fleeting, but she still used it. On top of that, we got more info on her from the connection to the moon Ruidus and the storms on said moon, and her potential connection to being a Ruidus born, just like her mother, or if her mother was also a Ruidus born. There's still a mystery there around her, which is very interesting. And now, after episode 23, her and Lodna are developing issues, so the relationship that she came into the series on, or this campaign on, is now strained. Because Lodna destroyed that stone, And, well, Lodna didn't do it, Delilah did. But Imogen believes Lodna did. And she said that she lied about, keeping it safe. And now her comfort stone is now destroyed by her best friend in her eyes. So to me, that is another new layer being placed on top of all this other new stuff that we've learned very recently about her. It's making her one of the most interesting characters, and I can't wait to see where her story goes. I can't wait to see if initially I thought maybe Lodna would turn to the dark side, but she seems to be the brightest light in this group. So to me, now Imogen has a chance of turning to that dark side, and that is incredibly interesting to me. And I like how the person who is, brightly colored, in contrast to her best friend who is dark colored, is now the person who is leaning toward the dark. And I think that's super interesting. And the two characters connected like this and having connections to other places, like I said, her story is somewhat connected to Aurum's, and now she coming in with Lodna is connected to her, and I can't wait to see how Delilah affects that. And I'm extremely intrigued by everything that is happening currently with Imogen, and I can't wait for more. On to number 3, who is Ashton. Ashton's connection to the game's location really gives him some sort of edge to me. Having general knowledge about everything, where they're going, potential history on the world, allows him to be a sort of conduit for us to learn about it, and I find that really interesting. They are a guide for the group, and it's really fun seeing them show off their new powers in combat, especially recently. But we also learn more about how they came back from death after the failed robbery on Jenna Huxham's house, or mansion. And a bit more about the night itself, when they died. There's still tons of mystery surrounding their powers, their death, their return. A little bit less about their return because now we know that a crystal was implanted into their head, and that's what sort of began to bring them back. But there has to be something more to Milo's powers if they have powers. So to me, I already liked Ashton for the way that they interacted with people and with the surrounding area and the party. But all of this extra stuff on top of what we've got with Ashton, especially lately, with their return to life, and learning that at one point they used to be soft, which to me is something I can't wait to delve into. And another thing that I really like about their character is we're starting to learn more about how they react to people who mislead them or lie to them. When they went through the sort of Twilight Mansion or Twilight Museum, they were told that it wouldn't be deadly traps, and both teams that were going through the sort of mansion to steal the item, the heist, that's the word I'm looking for, they nearly died. Both teams nearly got fucked up basically by the same handful of traps, and this pissed Ashton off. So I'm really intrigued to see, or to eventually learn, why lying about danger, which is something that's probably fairly common in a world like this, is something that tweaks and irks him or them so much. It pissed Ashton off so much that they were willing to destroy that man's reputation, Yvonne's reputation. So to me, I think there's something far more deep inside Ashton that proves or that shows that he's not a character who doesn't care. Because one of the things that is underlying about him is that they don't care. I don't care, whatever, fuck off. But they actually do care. They care tremendously about everything. When Bertrand Bell died, he led the charge in sort of investigating the death, looking for Duggar, looking for the people who had information about where Duggar could be. And this lying thing adds on top of that, oh, I don't care attitude is just some sort of farce. And I really like that idea, and I can't wait for it to sort of fall, or maybe fall briefly, and eventually we get to see more of the character. And I'm super excited for that. So yeah, that's Ashton, number 3. Number 2 is Lodna, quite possibly the most interesting character from CR to ever have been created. I think the connection with one half of Campaign 1's most interesting villains makes me uneasy whenever Lodna uses magic, and we learned that for sure she was killed to be hung from the Sun Tree, and yeah, that adds so much to me and so much to that moment when they look at the Sun Tree, especially now because we have Vox Machina animated and looking at, Vex's corpse, and we get to see that that's Lodna, is very, very fucked up to me. And knowing where that corpse is now, a adventurer in her own right and potentially the world's savior, after being hung to be portrayed as another world savior, is interesting. Very awesome, very cool, and I'm super excited to see where that goes if they ever do meet any of the members from Vox Machina. With all the references, they better pay that off as meeting Vox Machina in somehow, some way, or some of them returning. But also, with the end of episode 3 or 23, Delilah is surely going to become an issue. She has to be. And like I hinted at earlier, I think she might leave Lodna and go over to Imogen because there's a bit more of that dark side to her. But it makes me, and everything makes me feel very uneasy for Lodna whenever she does anything, because she's just making me tense now that maybe it's Delilah who's forcing her to do anything that she does, or it could be used to help Delilah in some sort of way. And that, to me, sucks, because now I don't know if it's Lodna who's doing something, or if it's subconsciously Delilah. And Matt and Marisha talked about this, and it's fucking genius. So, yeah. And I have to point this out because she is awesome. But Marisha is the best role player at the table. She kills it with everything she does. It's amazing. She makes me really believe that she's Lodna when she just, the way she looks at everybody, the way she snaps her heads around to listen to people talk, and the way she holds her hands. It's perfect. And if I have to give best role player to anybody at the table besides Matt Mercer, who is the DM and has to role play everything, it is 100% Marisha, and there's just no contest. But to also go back to Lodna a bit, like I pointed out with the Imogen thing earlier, she is most interestingly the heart and soul of this party. The dead person is the brightest light, most positive person, and at the end of episode 23, we got to see more negative aspects of it. She was pissed that she doesn't know if she can fully control herself or not, that this person inside her head is just waiting to be let out, and she's pissed that she has no control over that aspect of herself, and I think that that's interesting. And then the next episode following that, she immediately tried to see where her relationship with Imogen was, and I thought that that was very powerful when the two of them were, she was attempting to talk, and Imogen didn't talk to her until it was absolutely necessary when they were in combat. And I thought that that was, first of all, really grown up of Imogen, but also really interesting to watch as the person who is, your best friend is no longer speaking to you unless absolutely necessary. And watching Marisha or Lodna deal with it is awesome. I think, like I said, Lodna to me is so deep with her connections to Campaign 1, and now has connections to these characters as well, because obviously she would, as she is part of this campaign. But I think that the connections run so much deeper than just we're friends, because obviously Lodna and Imogen are beyond friends. They're sisters. Some people want them to be something else, but they're sisters, and that is a different type of relationship. And yeah, to now have that relationship be sort of shattered and broken, and it wasn't even in her control to do, it is an interesting layer, an awesome layer, and I can't wait to learn a bit more about her past in Whitestone. Granted, I don't know if that part's important to her, much like in Campaign 2, Ford, before Ford was a sailor, isn't important. So I would imagine before Lodna is dead, it's not important, or just before she's dead, it's not important. So maybe we get to learn more about her past in Whitestone, but maybe it's just I was poor and I needed a better life, and that's all it needs to be. So very excited to see everything from Lodna, because if it weren't for number 1, Lodna would be number 1. And yeah, getting on to number 1 is... Number 1 is Chetney Pokapi, the newest member of the group, and I knew he would become number 1. I'm so down with this character. The werewolf aspect, and not knowing if he'll be able to control himself, is a story that I am down to see. I am down to clown with this gnome. And after episode 23, we now know that there's a much darker side to Chetney. one that I believe was in full control of himself when performing the actions inside that shop, which is really shady. But also, I'm really enjoying the slow burn of learning more about his past in Uthadern and with Ultgar, and I enjoyed how shady he is with it. He is not giving any information that he doesn't have to. Not giving up much too fast is good to help him stand out from, the other characters where we get a flood's worth of information about them at once, like Imogen and Aurum. But Chetney is slowly giving us, more about Ultgar, his past in wood carving, wood tinkering, and it's amazing. I hope for more interactions like we got in the Heartmoor, where he had a standoff with the other wood carver, the other toy smith. I thought that was great, and I really hope for more interactions like that. But I kind of hope they go different ways, obviously. But unlike FCG, where I want more information right now, I want to keep this drip fed of information sort of, as is. As I fear too much at once will kill a lot of the intrigue that I have for Chetney. I'm very intrigued with the character. I'm very intrigued with I've had a thought recently that with this I'm in control storyline going on with the werewolf thing, did he at one point go back and kill Ultgar? Did he kill a bunch of people as a werewolf? And that is a story that I am super intrigued to find out about. I also had a fear that when Chetney first joined, he would just be a gag character. He would basically just be the character from the one shot. But he has surpassed that and has given up some of his own emotional moments, like when he hands everybody their toys and their boxes. When he gave Aurum the box with the little moon and the big moon and whatever comes next, that was awesome. That was super powerful and super important and really dope as a character, and it was a nice little moment for Aurum and him as well. Two characters who I don't feel has had enough time to sort of talk. They talked a lot, but I feel like they could talk way more, as there's an age gap between them, and I think that level of experience and age from, I am an old wise man who isn't all that wise to a young person who is far wiser and is going to be able to sort of teach the older person is very interesting to me, and I'm very, very glad that we have this sort of dynamic. This gives me hope, of course, that my other fears about this character won't come through fruition. Like, I hope they won't give up too much about him too quickly. So what we have right now for Chetney, I think, is perfect. Slow feeding information, get to see cool moments from him. I love how Travis is coming up with different interesting ways to turn into a werewolf, like ripping off his skin, ripping off just certain portions of his limbs, and that's what bursts out the transformation, tearing off, his face. I just find that he's very creative with this character, possibly the most creative he's ever been, and I think this character is going to prove that he is one of the best players at the table, because I feel like that doesn't go to him from a lot of people. He is definitely the most respectful player at the table when it comes to everything, and I think that he is now proving that he is one of the best players at the table, and that he is also one of the best character creators at the table, because while he is a lot of respect the alpha sort of jokes, he is also a lot deeper as a character, and I'm very excited to be able to see him play both sides of a gag character and a very emotional character. So with that being said, that is Chetney. So that is all the rankings for up to episode 24, as now we go on a 4-week break. Oh, the pain. The pain of this is going to suck. Also, I did want to briefly talk about something else. I missed my Tuesday upload, but have a good reason. We lost power. I live in Ontario, and if you don't know, we just got hit by one of the fastest, most insane storms of all time. In fact, there was a tornado that landed, so that was rough. And we lost power on Saturday. It is currently Thursday, and we just got power back today, and that was nuts. Just wanted to give that sort of update. There's other things that have happened this week, so I'm not going to complain too much about losing power for 6 days. But yeah, that's just why I missed my Tuesday upload. So yeah, that's it. See you guys tomorrow, probably Friday, because I'm going to make a video. I don't know if I'm going to make it on EXU Calamity or not, or if I'm just going to make another video like this. Maybe not. Maybe I just use this as my one upload for this week and get back to my regular scheduled uploads next time. But who knows? That being said, this has been ZodiacBandit. See you guys whenever I decide. Peace. Probably Tuesday.